We are solving day 12, Advent of Code 2023, Hot Springs. Question. Let's go with the question. We finally reach the hot springs. You can see steam rising from shore. Secluded areas attached to the primary or net building. Okay. Condition records of which springs are damaged or puzzle input. We will need to help them repair the damage records in the giant field just outside. The springs are arranged into rows. Each row, the condition records show every spring and whether it is operational or damaged. This is the part of the condition records that is itself damaged. For some springs, it is simply unknown whether it is operational or damaged. However, the engineer that produced the condition records also duplicated some of this information in a different format. After the list of springs for a given row, the size of each contiguous group of damaged spring is listed in the order those groups appear in the row. This list always accounts for every damaged spring and each number in the entire size of its contiguous group. That is, the groups are always separated by at least one operational spring. Would always be 4. Number 2, so condition records with no unknown springs left might look like this: 113 and 13. Okay, understood. Where the condition records are partially damaged, some of these springs conditions are actually unknown. For example, this equipped with this information, it is your job to figure out how many different arrangements of operational and broken springs fit the given criteria in each row. In the first line, there is exactly one way. Okay, this input is given to us and we need to figure out for how many substitutions of question mark with dot and hash. This is the configuration that we get. In that row, the first 3 unknown spring must be broken, then operational, then broken. Okay. The second line is more interesting. Total of 4 different arrangements, so we know that this should be a hash, and for these two, any of these could be dots, and each double question mark must hide exactly one of the 2 broken springs. Neither both springs are from condenser equal to. If that were the number, afterwards would have been 2, 3 instead. The last line is actually consistent with 10 different arrangements. Hash. So 2 choices, 1 choice. So 2 into 2 into 1, that is 4. For this, where the remaining run of unknown spring conditions have many different ways they could hold groups of 2 and 1 broken up springs. Okay, these are the number of ways. In this example, the number of possible arrangements for each row is okay. Adding all the possible arrangements count together products of a total of 21 arrangements. Sum of arrangements for each row count all the different arrangements of operational broken spring that meet the given criteria. What is the sum of those counts? Okay. If the input is small, we can try brute force, but seems like this is very large. I mean, if there are, what is the maximum number of question marks that we need to know, and 2 raised to that would be the number of arrangements that would be possible. So the largest that I can see here is, on average, I can see that this one 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Still, there are a lot of these. The other approach would be to use dynamic programming to basically we have two choices. First, we start with three when we want to create a group of three, and to do that, and is it always? No, it can be multiple sizes. We can start with the first character, and we will basically keep track of what is the length of contiguous group that we are constructing right now. So this was, let's say, dot, or it would have been hash. Then we move on to the next state, index 1, with 1 as the um, length of the first group. Then if we would have reached at this index, then that means we have contiguous group of 4, but we only want 3. So we need to discard that. Thinking of that approach only right now, nothing else comes to my mind as such. Or you can say that these counts are fairly small, right? 5, 6, maybe up to 6, 7, like that. 6 here. So you can fix the positions of these groups. So 1 can occur anywhere here, and after that 3 will occur anywhere else. And once that position is fixed, we will check whether there is one arrangement possible, and it will be only possible when that group, like so. Let's see. So this was 3, 2, 1, right? What I'm thinking is, let's say 3, this group occurs at these locations, and 2 must occur by giving a gap of 1, right? So let's say 3 occurs here. Then we need to check all of these could be made hashes, and the next one should be made as dot. And if that is possible, we move on to the next state, and the next state could be saying that this group of 2 can be anywhere here or here or here or here, and so on. And whatever locations that we have chosen, we check whether all of them can be made hashes by checking that all of these are question marks or a hash by default, and their left and right borders are either dots or question marks. That would be, I think that would be easier to implement in my opinion. Let's try to do that then. This is the input, and we have answers for each of them, right? Okay. The answer for this is 21. the input, we will get two strings on each line, space separated, and these value would be comma separated. Let's do one thing. Reading from that file, as long as I get this is S and this is text, S and text. S is kept as it is, and we need to transform this into a vector of ints. If ch is digit, this number is 0, number is number times 10 plus that digit, else a dot push that num is 0, and this should be performed again here. I can assert num is greater than 0, because for this last character we don't have a comma, and we need to do it after the iteration is completed. After this is done, I need to, let's see, total number of ways for all of them, and let's say answer plus, let's say the count for this particular test is solve. We pass in S and A, and let's check ways and add it in the answer. Print the answer. Solve string S vector of integers A. We have 3 here, so let's say the string length is n and this is n, is dot size, m is a dot size. We want to say that we start from 0 0, meaning I is the index of this array, of this string, and j is the number that we are currently at, group size. This is still a bit tricky, but let's hope we don't make much mistakes. Index I, index j. We have two options, either to start a group of size equals to, I need this, start a group of size equals to a of j. To do that, Let me write a condition, different function for that. Check that we can put all hashes in this range I to I plus j minus 1. Let's say boolean check lr if r is greater than equals to n. That means it is outside the string loop, string index. We can return false, else it lies in 0 to n minus 1. Now I need to check if there is a dot in here. So if we want to put a 1 here, let's say, let's take a bigger example. So say I want to put, starting from this group of 3, then all of them should be question mark or hash. So all of them L to R if S of ID is a dot, then it is not possible, right? So this makes sure that there is all hashes and question marks, and all the question marks would be replaced by hash. And one more thing that we need to check is the left and the right boundaries. Let's say boundary check if L minus 1 is greater than equals to 0, then boundary check is checked with that the last value cannot be 0, right? It cannot be hash. Yes, it cannot be hash. It can be dot, it can be question mark. So we need to check S of L minus 1 is not equals to a hash, and the right boundary check is R plus 1 is less than N. The same thing, sorry, plus 1 is not equals to hash. It can be question mark or a dot, and we return the boundary check as well as this would be handled by returning false here as well. So this is it for checking. Now we know that we can put a sequence of hashes from this to this location to this location, which is the indices including in this range. Now we can check what do we do now. We need to skip this one. It is mandatory to skip it because this cannot be again a hash from the starting position. Hence the starting position for the next grouping would be 2 plus 1. Now 2 is included. This is 2. This is 2 plus 1. We need to do it from 2 plus 2. And since we are done with this group, we now check for j plus 1 group. And I hope the answer does not overflow or something. Okay. This is how we found out the number of ways for this, and this was the first choice to start a group from that particular index, or we can even skip that by saying, now when can we skip this? I think we can only skip this when that value is a question mark, because if it's a hash, then that means we haven't considered this particular grouping. And let's say we start here, we say that can you make this as a group of 3, then it would be considered in this iteration or this condition. So to move on to the next index, which is index 1, we need to say that this should be made as a dot, and we can start from the next index. So if s of I is a question mark, only then we have the second choice, which is equals to go of I plus 1. And since we aren't done with this group, so we still want to do the same grouping here as well. And this is what total ways would look like. Number of ways C1, C2, total ways as answer, and answer C1 plus C2. Right. And now we need to write base conditions. Say we are at an index. First thing first, if we have, let's say this is the case, right? So we put a 3 here, then we skip this, we put a 2, then we skipped 1, then we put a hash here. Now we have exhausted this list. So let's write a condition for that. If j is, I think the array size is m and string length is m, and if this is m, in this case I have exhausted everything. Now I need to check that everything to the right of this index from index I is a dot or a question mark. How I can do that? By going over all the indices, id from I, id equals to I, id is less than n, id plus plus. If s of I is a hash, it can be a dot or a question mark, that's fine. But if it's a hash, then there is no possible way that this is our a good configuration that is asked in the question, because we want all of the things to the right of this to be dot or a question mark, so that all the question marks could be converted into dots. This is fine for j equals to m. And the next case is that we go on to the index which is outside the loop of, goes outside if I is greater than equals to n. Let's say which would be that case. So we put a 3, 2, then we skip some of this, then we put a 1, and whenever we put a 1, we move on to the, this would be from and to equals to the same index because it is length 1 group. Now we move on to skipping 1 and one more thing. So if we are at any such index, we need to check that we have also completed all the groups. So that means return j is m. I think so this should be correct. Let's run it on a simple test case first, which was this one, right? Okay. Let's try this. One zero one. Incorrect. Am I looking at the same input? S- Okay. I'm updating these values for all the test cases here, and let me check whether these values are correct. S and A. Let's start there. Debugging. Okay, 113, 313, looks correct. Let's go to the next. C1, C2. This is the test case for which the answer should be okay. Okay, one more thing. If it is a dot, in that case as well, I can skip this, right? I think I have missed that case. So if it's a dot or a question mark, in that case I can skip this index and move on to the next one. 1411410. Perfect. Okay, at least we know the dynamic programming approach is correct. We have this total 21. Let's solve it for the last test case. I've taken it already. Nope. Cat into test, paste. I'm always fearful about this because it misses some of the lines. 1000 lines. Okay. Slash load on test. No, I have that hard coded FRE open. Okay, let's run it on sample inputs first so that we have the binary created, and then run it on last test case. 7231. That's not the right answer. Your answer is too high if you're stuck. Okay, it is not correct. That he's saying that the answer is too high. I mean, I think it should be correct. And even applied dynamic approach. Why is this incorrect? I'm still trying to figure that out. Hmm. 7 2 3 1. I haven't even applied memorization. That's fine. Do we have large numbers like 10? Okay, we have 10, 11, maybe 12. We have 12 somewhere. Let's try to find the answer for this test case. How long is this? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 18 19. 13. Do we have 13? Yes. 14. 15. We have a 15. Let's try to find out the answer for this. Three ways. sure why we are getting no answer. Do we have some more test cases to try? These were the ones that are given in the question, right? Different arrangements of operational group. Okay, first. Different arrangements, fine. The last, okay. This has a large answer, right? So 10 ways for this, right? But of adding all the possible arrangements count together. Is the sum of those counts? Looks right to me. Is there any fault with my test data? Wget this file to DC. What? Okay, fine. It must have some authentication. Okay, that's what I'm doing though. $1,000 lines and nothing altered. Slash level 1 check. 7231. That's what I get. The answer is too high. If you're stuck, make sure you're stuck. Mm-hmm. Let's try to look at the code only. Don't think there is anything else that I've missed out. I'm unsure about this case actually. So, but whenever this occurs first, should I do this maybe? So let's say we have exhausted the characters that we have. Right. So let's say I'm somewhere in the middle, and but still that doesn't make any sense. Let's try this anyways. It gives the same answer, 21. And for the last test case, I still have that FRE open. Seven two three one. Now I'm directly going to test it on the last test only. So to check whether we get let's do one thing for string file name in one and check do this here name dot this file name book. I think it wants a constant, right? So dot c star. Fine. Now this will read the inputs from that file and produce the answer, and we will get the answer for the sample as well as the last test case. Let's try this. Why is it 0? Min have a file name check, right? Check. We also have a file name. Should I close it? If I close something, dot I open close file. No, it's not giving me the right answer. First file, then second. At least this should be 7231. Okay, let's try testing this only. We have this. Let's debug one by one. We first check the this condition. I can assert that I can say here L is greater than equals to 0 and L is less than. This is for all the indices inclusive if any one of them is a dot or wait, I think I must have missed something. It's a dot or a question mark, it's fine, and equals to this previous one is not equal to a hash. Not equal to hash means it is a dot or a question mark, then we are good. Same for the right boundary. Looks good. I mean, there is no need to check the left boundary as well because we are always going to index I. One more thing I can assert here is if 2 plus 1 is less than n, in that case, it must be not equal to a hash. It can be a question mark or a dot. Mm, right. If it goes outside the boundary, then it's fine for us. Let's try this. This passes as well. C1, C2. If the current thing is a hash, what could be the issue here? Have they asked the answer to be some reduced value of something? Different arrangements, operation, spring criteria. This case was already enough to check my solution, but first time I'm facing this issue that sample test case is passing, but this isn't. Wow, this was the issue. So here this is index ID, and here I'm only checking the ith index. Wow. And it was still giving the right answer. Just one character typo, and the answer is 7084. And what is it for? It should be 21 here. Okay, at least we found the bug, otherwise I would have given up in between. Let's hope the second part is not that difficult so that this solution is helpful. 7084. Nice. Let's copy this. I don't want to use these. So first let's copy this into part 1, refactor part 1. In this I want to remove this, then you can keep that comment. Wait, I'm in this. Sometimes Vim does put things in between. Is it right? G++ soul part 1. dash o p1 dot slash p1 on pin1 21 and dot slash p1 on check 704, right? So this is at least correct. So remove p1, remove all the executables, then let's check part 1. Okay. Remove these. I will keep the assertions so that it's better for some validations. If you look at field, you feel like there are way more springs than the condition records list. When you examine the records, you discover that they are exactly full of this whole time. To unfold the records on each row, replace the list of spring conditions with 5 copies of itself separated by, and replace the list of contiguous 5 copies. Okay, 5 copies is fine for us. We can simply memorize the answers, and hopefully the solution doesn't time out in that case. So we take this copy 5 times and place a question mark in between, and we do the same for this. We append it, copy it 5 times. The first line of the above example would become which above example? This one. The first line of the above example would become, so what is the first line? Okay, question mark 3 times and a dot. Okay, so yeah, understood. One arrangement, this arrangement, fine, and we need to do the same thing. Okay, I think my solution was a better solution for part 1, and I know what to do. Hopefully we will first of all solve it for, wait a second, first of all I will solve it for sample test, and we need to get these values. Before doing this, I need to append it, right, 5 times. So where is it? Had S and A, right? S is now S plus a question mark plus S plus question mark plus S. Is it 5 or 6? One, two, three, four, 5. I think 5 copies or 5 times. Is it 4 question marks, right? So it means 5 times. Okay. This 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Perfect. And for the A, what I can do is vector of int new A. Let's do 5 times this iteration new A dot pushback A. I don't think this should work. So for int x in A, new A dot pushback x, and yeah, that's it. And A is new A. Nothing changed. I will add memorization, but maybe before that only, maybe the sample test case might run in less time, maybe. I don't think so. Oh, it ran. Answer is 5255152. That is correct, but I don't want to risk it for what answer did we get for this? We only print the number of rows, right? Okay. I will memorize this. Before that, initialize TP array, and let's say the length was only about 100, and we had, let's say, 20. No, it might be large this time, right. So 5 times 100 and 5 times that value. So let's make it dynamic only, right? So why bother estimating the size of that TP? Before performing that test case, we have this n by mdp. It's always better to have the size which is required. Size n and m with -1 as the default value. Okay. Now we check here whether this answer is already computed. Else answer is 0. Let's run it on samples first. 525, 125. Perfect. Let's also print the intermediate results for each row separately. The summations that we are taking to check these. 163, 116. Okay. Let's change it to last test. And we have this answer. Looks fairly large. Hope it's correct. Nice. Okay, cool. We are done with this. We will clean up and stop the stream. And some time before that, some refactoring. This is gone. Memoization is right. I don't want to keep this, so it's done. Let's remove this debug statements and these as well. Hopefully everything looks clean and clear. So we have part 1 and part 2. Perfect. Okay. I haven't added memoization in part 1 because maybe it wasn't sufficient. It wasn't required, and it's fine to keep it that way so that we know what we changed for part 2. We need to add this folder, commit D12, both parts, and git push. Okay, that's fine for now. I will close the stream. Thank you for watching.